Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today we're joined by James Saxton. James is a therapist. His company is the Praxis Approach. Let him give you a little more detail about that and information. James, thank you for joining us on the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little more about you and what it is you do?
Yes, so my name is James Saxton. I am the practice owner of Praxis Counseling and Therapy. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, licensed chemical dependency counselor, and recently a SAP, substance abuse provider, which I can talk about in just a minute. But so I provide individual therapy to adults. Sometimes I work with teens around anxiety, depression, and my forte is substance abuse. So spent 7 years as an LCDC at a local treatment facility here in San Antonio as a employee, not a patient, and worked with groups and found myself really enjoying working with substance abuse. So, and that comes out of some old personal stuff for me too. But yeah, so that's who I am. That's what I do now. And also working toward offering CEUs. Eventually within the next 9 months, I'm hoping to be a supervisor, LCSW supervisor for new and upcoming therapists to equip them to work with maybe some of the marginalized of our community, because substance abuse normally goes overlooked and misunderstood.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. What a blessing you are, I'm sure, to lots of people and have been. So in the counseling world, I'm sure there's lots of competition. What's something that you feel sets you apart from some of the other, and not that the others are not doing well, but maybe something that is special about your path and your process?
Yeah. So, every therapist has their own different approach. Each has their own unique style, right? And for me, what I bring is not only the professional understanding of substance abuse through my license, but also the personal. I'm a person in long-term recovery myself. I'm a person who's recovering not only from alcohol, but also growing up in a home with alcohol present, and understanding that there is a connection between even just growing up in a home with substance abuse is traumatic, right? It rewires our nervous system, sets us on a trajectory of different cognitions and beliefs that then start ruling our life. So my approach is yes, we want to correct the behavior, we want to stop it, but I'm also asking the underneath, what's the pattern? Where does that come from? Where is that showing up in your life? And working with some of the trauma roots of it. I do every now and then I'll do experiential weekends with the Deep Waters Recovery Program that allows people an opportunity to really feel in their body and get out some of the things that they've been holding. So what differentiates me is not only do I understand it, I've lived it, and I value my own personal work in some of the areas I do my own personal work in. That helps me become just a steady presence. I've had many people tell me, when you're around James, I just feel safe.
Nice.
And that's the value. And I'll say this too. I think that's a very rare thing to be said about a male in this world.
Okay.
So that's also kind of something else that I differentiate and use, right? And I'm not turning this into a bashing contest, but there's some work that us as males can be doing as well.
Well, and I think just maybe someone that's called to be a counselor or a therapist, you have that little gift that people do feel comfortable around you, so they can share and open up, and because it's probably something that's very important. I don't think I would get that, but then it's not. I mean, thank goodness we have people in different walks that do different things. So what a blessing that you have, that you're able to help others with that skill, or just, that's genetically, or just that's part of you, a characteristic of you that really helps you be able to help other people.
And I'm thinking about, some of the clients I'm working with, and sometimes I get the clients who have never done therapy before. They're walking in very, my culture tells me I'm not supposed to do this. The idea of being a male tells me I'm not supposed to be doing this. How do I do this? I don't know. You know, who amongst us is told to ask for help, right? So even just that mere act. So just honoring the fact that you showed up, that's huge,
Sure.
right? And building from there and very strength based. And then, you know, I work with people who've done therapy before, and I'm establishing some pretty long term clients right now that just trust the relationship. And that's the greatest gift I believe I can give is being that person. Not every session is cathartic. Not every session is insightful. Sometimes it's just having that person to check in. They know my story. Here's where I'm at. And I like to use the term pattern watcher, shadow watcher, whatever you want to call it, right? What's starting to come up that we've looked at before that we might need to pay attention to now?
Gotcha. So as you've come along your journey, have you had any books or podcasts or anything like that that's helped you in the journey that maybe you can refer the listeners that may help them?
Yeah, I'm thinking back. God, I wish some of the giants that I stand on their shoulders of had, you know, books or podcasts. And
Sure.
there's a lot of individuals. But what comes to my mind right now is I really gravitated toward the 12-step community, right? And also the refuge recovery, the Buddhist approach, which I think is a beautiful program. The Zen of recovery is beautiful. In the realm of Hungry Ghost by Gabor Mate, really anything by Gabor Mate, I think is wonderful. There's a TED Talk, two that come to my mind. One of them is by Eldra Jackson III, that talks about his transformation as, you know, going through being incarcerated, doing some healing work, and now coming out and saying, I've got to own my stuff and make a better world. And then Dr. Nadine Harris, who has got a TED Talk about how childhood trauma impacts ongoing health conditions in our adult life, has been very influential in the way I look at things as well. Dr. Bob Baer has got a book called Stop Doing Shit You Don't Want to Do, which is, I think if I don't want to keep living.
Get to the point.
Yep. If I don't want to live, if I don't want to keep living this way, then stop doing it. I got to do something different. Right?
Wow.
So those are a few of the examples that kind of resonate through my head right now. And then you can get in all the specifics, Body Keeps the Score, and all the other therapy books that are out there.
Thank you. Lots of good resources. So as you've had your journey, what's one of the biggest journey in your career? What's one of your biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
That's a twofold question for me, because the first place I go to in that is in here, right? Is the own resistance. And I think we can name resistances all day long out there, but the biggest one comes in here, which is taking the leap of faith and acting, right? I remember the transition period from when I was moving out of traditional employment to getting my license to establishing my own private practice. And it's a leap of faith. It's scary. And being able to let people around me know, let the support around me know, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. Just being honest with them and having them support me in that. So one of the biggest struggles is trusting myself and trusting other people. Externally, I'm getting rushed with a well of gratitude right now. My recovery has actually helped me be where I am today. As hard as it was, for 2.5 years, I told people I had a chauffeur getting around San Antonio, Texas, and that was the VIA system, right? Learning how to be humble and doing the next right thing and just working hard has really paid dividends in my future life, and I'm forever grateful for that journey. Although I would never wish addiction on anybody.
Sure,
it's a very beautiful journey, and if we're being honest, we're all addicted to something, right? So
for sure, yeah, definitely. In that's kind of that mantra. There's a saying: things happen for you, not to you. And by taking that it's you're growing from it instead of being the victim in it, and not improving. You've picked yourself up, you've learned from those challenges, and now you're trying to help others that are going through very similar circumstances. So being able to, and you're probably better at it than almost anybody that hasn't gone through that situation. So just having, one, it gives you credibility with your patients or clients, and on top of that, you've been there. You probably know the what they're saying. You can see it from multiple sides, where some can't.
Yeah, and one of the things too is, I you probably heard it before, but the addiction isn't the problem; it's the solution. It's what I'm doing to soothe. So the question is always, okay, then what am I trying to soothe? Right? What's going on with me?
Gotcha.
And substance abuse is sometimes the soul's only way of screaming out for help.
Interesting. Yeah, no, and great, and that you can bring that perspective to your clients that you're dealing with is awesome. You said something earlier about doing continuing education. Maybe be able to share that with other therapists that maybe don't have that same perspective. I think is awesome.
I recently, back in April, did a Saturday workshop for the Texas Society of Clinical Social Workers on addiction. 6 hours of addiction A to Z, looking at the biopsychosocial, the history of it. I could probably talk for hours about it, but that's a good resource if anybody who's listening wants to, ask me about that, or even, I love to do trainings. So that's the other thing that one of my other goals is to create a trauma-informed certification program for LCDCs. Because sometimes the LCD, when a client is in treatment and they are met with an LCDC, sometimes that's the only opportunity they may have for a therapist. And if trauma is part of substance abuse, we need to be talking about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that sounds like you almost answered this next question I had is, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the next 6 to 12 months, and maybe getting that started might be part of it.
That's part of it. At the beginning of the year, I sat down and wrote out a list of goals for my business, and that wasn't even a dream then. And now it's becoming kind of more of a organic thing. Continuing to do speaking engagements, right? And doing trainings and offering CEUs. So those are the goals right now. And I'm learning things can change, and I'm not in control.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just doing it. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If people would like to get and connect with you to learn more about what you're doing or learn about some of your offerings, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So my website is the best way, and it's Praxis Therapy PLLC.com. PRAXIS and then therapy and then PLLC. All my contact information is on there. The Praxis approach that you mentioned earlier, the pause, recognize, align, act, and integrate. Just learning to accept us who we are. Links to blogs, socials, everything is on the website there. So
awesome.
If you're looking for me, the website's the best way.
Be sure to tune in, everybody. And listeners, thank you for listening. James, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing lots of good information. I think that, it's a blessing to a lot of people that you're interacting with. I'm glad to hear it's going on. So, keep it up, and just glad to have you. And thank you very much for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.